Greetings YouTube. So we are back for another news and Nuzlocke. Today we're going to be discussing a lot of things, but primarily you've seen the title. Microsoft did what? Yeah. Watch the video to find out. Last time we picked starters and all that good stuff, and I think we've caught one or two Pokemon since. Yeah, let's hop back in and see what exactly was going on last time. And as we hop in, I will get the news going. Yes, we have two Pokemon right now. Greetings, YouTube! Alright, so, right now, we have Shadow and Spice. Of course, Spice named after the famous KFC 13 spices and herbs. Or is it 13 seasonings and spices? That make up the famed KFC recipe. The 13 secret spices. Alright, so, popping over. So, the fun part about this is, they're in chronological order from, like, when they happened. And so, like, you really get to enjoy seeing, what's my character name? I can't remember. Oh, hey! It's Laura. There we go. She asked me previously if I had named any of the Pokemon after family members like I typically do. And I was just like, nah, that seems a little messed up with doing a Nuzlocke where, you know, if they die, they stay dead. So, I didn't end up doing that, and just I gave them random-ass names. But it's okay, because she gets to stay there as the person doing the murdering of the characters. That way my conscience is cleared. But, yeah, so we are going to start with the beginning of the week, where we had Xbox's one and only Phil Spencer reacted to some kind of rumors that had started back in December, but are gaining a foothold and becoming more so of like actual news and that kind of thing. And chat wants me to name the Pokemon after family members to, you know, really make it hurt. So he kind of talked about rumors that Sony was going to be doing, you know, I'm not gonna risk it, we're immediately swapping to Spice. We're trying to level Shadow up some. But he reacted to rumors that Sony is gearing up to do their own gamespass. And he basically said during the time that Xbox wasn't surprised and was expecting everybody to adopt a gamespass system, at least at some point. And so, that's especially funny, knowing, you know, what moves Microsoft and Xbox started to take to kind of combat the idea of, you know, a Sony or that kind of thing starting to do a Games Pass-esque service of their own, with Sony's being codenamed Project Spartacus. And so it yeah, that was an interesting little one. I honestly, it's not like huge news, but I threw it in because I think as we get later into the stories, it kind of becomes hilarious. Because then we hop down, okay, so unrelated, but I thought this was interesting. So in it, and so that that last one was from George Yang over at GameSpot, had that little transcript from an interview that Phil Spencer had done. But our next story is Cory Barlog, who is the like creative head behind the studio that did God of War 2017. He, in an interview with Game Informer, was talking about how him and other people in charge of Sony development studios were the ones who basically went to Sony and were like, dude, you gotta start letting us put games out on PC. Also, guys, I think I've made a terrible mistake. I think I killed one of the few Pokemon that I could have caught. I didn't realize that that was a different section. Alright, so Route 102, knocked out. Route 101, Route 102. I need to start a note somewhere of what spots I have and haven't done. Alright, so let's hop over to the map. That way we can get an idea of what spots we have and haven't done. Take a closer look at the map. Alright, so we have done 101 and 102 now. Okay, so 102 and 101 are knocked off, with me being an idiot and not catching anything in 102. Because, you know, that just sounds too much like me. And so, back to the Cory Barlog story, I find it just, like, super interesting that even people, you know, developing games for Sony are just like, dude, let us put these games on other platforms, because we, you know, like, as he said, it was basically like, you know, we need, you know, like, those extra sales, you know, like, yes, we're getting good sales on PlayStation, but, you know, you throw it over to PC, and it just, like, brings the sales up even more. And so it's interesting because, so right now, the games from Sony, as far as I could tell looking it up, that are on PC are Horizon Zero Dawn, Death Stranding, God of War, with apparently, from what I was seeing, Uncharted is supposed to be, like, the collection is supposed to be coming to PC early this year. It doesn't have, like, a official release date or anything, but I think that would be an interesting one to throw to PC. Whew. Alright, let's get Shadow out of there. I am trying to lose somebody, especially when the team is staying small. Next, we hop over to a interesting story that is going to be going a bit deeper into... So I have a project that I'm going to start working on where I'm going to deep dive into one of the news stories later on in like a... almost like a documentary style, because I think that there's a lot of story to tell about one of these stories coming up. But part of the story, or that like series of stories, is going to be something that I have right here, where Activision Blizzard has fired 37 people and disciplined another 44 stemming from the company's investigation into their workplace culture. And, you know, it's one of those that, so last year, we unfortunately had a huge investigation and lawsuit come out to find that basically the people running Activision Blizzard are just like some pretty shitty people. And along with that, there was just a culture that had been built up there of, you know, workplace harassment, you know, discrimination, just a really like a toxic culture. There's just like a lot of bullying that was going on and that kind of stuff. Just like, in general, not a fun place to work. Just a lot of stuff coming out about how, you know, it's just like a really kind of shitty situation. And so it's kind of interesting to see that so much of the stuff that has come out from like individuals talking about it has been along the lines of like it's people like pretty high up. You know, it's like a lot of bosses, a lot of like CEOs, you know, a lot of people in charge who are the shitty individuals. And so I thought the story was really interesting, that the people up top still totally fine. And, you know, there have been some people who have left and that kind of thing. But, you know, for the most part, it definitely feels like they're kind of passing the buck. And, you know, you know, granted, I'm sure this investigation, you know, truly found that those 37 individuals who were fired were doing stuff detrimental to the team and that kind of stuff. And the 44 others who were disciplined, you know, I'm sure it's the same thing. But it's kind of shitty having, you know, all these, like, CEOs and, like, people in charge and people who are on top doing all this, like, shitty stuff. And then just, you know, firing people below them for doing the stuff that they're doing while they don't get punished at all. And, you know, again, that's not me saying that those 37 and 44, you know, individuals shouldn't have been punished. That's me saying that, hey, what happened to them should also be happening to the people up top. and the fact that it's not is like just super ridiculous. It's just it's a really ridiculous situation that I wanted to touch on because I think it's especially important to the subject that we're about to be coming into, which is the biggest deal in gaming news possibly ever, which is Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, and then in the like my notes I have in parentheses King Studios, because well, yes, Activision Blizzard, super huge acquisition. They also acquired a third company that was like a part of them, kind of attached to them, but a smaller entity called King Publishing, which we'll kind of get a little bit into them. But yeah, so Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard and King for $68.7 billion. And something interesting that happened along with that is the fact that with that happening, Microsoft is now the third largest video game company. They're not the first, they're not the second, they're the third, even after acquiring Activision Blizzard. And I believe, from what I was seeing, this article didn't say, but I believe from everything that I've kind of seen and heard, like, from other, like, sites and that kind of stuff, is where they're getting that metric is based on money the company has made. And I think it's like within like X amount of time. I'm not 100% sure where they're getting that metric off of, but I was seeing a lot of stuff that it was like, oh, that's like, I believe it is Sony is number 1 and Take-Two is number 2. Yeah, just like absolutely insane to think that with that acquisition, they're still the number 3. And I believe they moved up from not being in the top 5 to now number 3, though. So there was progress that was made. But along these lines, some interesting stuff that kind of came with that is, I've been missing some of the people who gave this information, so I'm going to run it back real quick. So the Corey Barlog, in an interview with Game Informer, where I got that information, they kind of had it written down, was Adam Bankhurst over at IGN, the Activision Blizzard firing 37 people, that was Jessica Howard over at GameSpot, and me pulling this information from Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard and King Studios for $68.7 million. That is Dina Bass and Nate Lanxon over at Bloomberg. But what's something that's kind of crazy is, so along those lines, I'm jumping ahead in the news stories here, but along those same lines, we had NPD, which is a like entity that basically their whole thing is they go through and gather video game information on sales and that kind of stuff. And so they had their 2021 information come out saying, what the sales for last year was. And the number 1 video game of last year was Call of Duty Vanguard, now an Xbox owned, or not yet. It's technically officially not gone through, but, that is now on the verge of being underneath, an Xbox type individual. Ooh, I got a little bit nervous here, I'm not gonna lie. I was risky, but it paid off. Number 2 on NPD sales was Call of Duty Cold War. So Call of Duty was the number 1 and number 2 highest selling game of last year, with both of those now being underneath the Microsoft umbrella. Which is just absolutely insane to think about. Because you sit there and you think, okay, $68.7 billion, and you got the top 2, highest selling games of 2021 now going to be in your back pocket. And that's classic. This isn't anything new. Call of Duty is the #1 game most years, which is insane because it comes out in November, December, and so it outsells everything else in like a 2-month span of time, which is a little bit crazy. And so on top of that, basically printing money within that Microsoft acquisition, they got, big studios like Activision, home of Call of Duty. They got Blizzard, home of, the likes of Overwatch, World of Warcraft, so on. And then they also got King Studios, or King Publishing, my bad. And King Studios, King Publishing, Jesus Christ, I just fixed it, is in charge of a little thing called Candy Crush Saga, which, literally every year makes at least $1 billion. So, like, between those three, like, Microsoft is going to be paying for this deal. Like, it's going to very easily pay for itself. And, like, along those lines, last year when Microsoft bought Bethesda Games for, I think it was like $7 billion or something like that. It was under 10, more than 5. I think it was 7 or 8 billion. But when they did that, they made that money back in 1 quarter. So, like, adding these other, like, games on top, like, Microsoft is going to be, they're going to be able to put some serious money into it. And, along those lines, they announced, along with the Activision and Blizzard... Goddamn, I'm so sad that I didn't catch this Pokemon. I'm just such an idiot. But along those lines, they also went through and announced that gamespass has hit 25 million subscribers. And, I can't help but imagine that as soon as all the Call of Duty start getting activated onto there, it's gonna just shoot up even more. Hey, thank you for the call in the chat. So it was $7.5 billion that Microsoft spent on Bethesda Studios, which they then made back in 1 quarter. And, talking about the quarters and that kind of thing. So, I know a lot of you guys are like, okay, so they went out and they spent this big money on Activision Blizzard. When are we going to see anything from that? And so, what is going to happen with that is it is going to happen in the fiscal year of 2023. And so what that means for companies is likely it's not going to be this way, but June or July of this year is theoretically, if everything went perfect, the earliest that it could happen, with the latest being next June or July. So we're looking at, a relatively close timeline, and according to a lot of like the analysts and that kind of stuff, it's not expected to be denied, because how this kind of thing works is with like any company mergers and that kind of stuff of that size, they get checked at the government level to, make sure that, there's not going to be a monopoly or that kind of thing. And, a lot of people have been talking that, with the fact that this doesn't even put them as the #1 biggest video game company, there's not really a case to be said for this turning Microsoft into a monopoly of the gaming studio, or, of the gaming genre. So the exciting thing is that this more than likely will go through. This is going to happen. And on the other side of, Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, you have the Sony side of things. And the day after it was announced that Microsoft had bought Activision Blizzard, Sony's stock dropped 13%. And it's like, okay, 13%, that's not bad. Like, considering the news, that 13% seems like a not terrible amount. However, that 13% translated to Sony losing $20 billion over the news of Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard. Yeah, that's big numbers. They paid, and so, you know, you can kind of look at it like, yes, Sony will recover from that, but like that hit almost makes that 68.7 billion not that bad. Okay, so chat's saying 13% seems like it's a lot. And it's like, yeah, you know, 13%, it can seem like a lot or a little, you know? I guess it also comes in the fact that it's like, okay, you know, you get a raise and you're happy if it's 13%. So it's like, oh, or 3%, sorry. And you're like, oh shit, you know, 13%, that sounds pretty great. But yeah, so 20 billion on the Sony side. And that was reported by Michael Beckwith over at Techradar. And so, you know, we're mixing stories and that kind of thing, but just like the rippling effect of Sony, you know, being just like pummeled by these purchases that Microsoft is doing. And to top it off, you know, I have a series of stuff happening right here for this last one. But so we have listed here that Sony officials in interview said that, and I quote, "We expect that Microsoft will abide by contractual agreements and continue to ensure Activision games are multi-platform." And that quote comes to you from Jay Peters over at The Verge. So somebody in the Twitch chat said, "Did you see the sender who sold all of their Sony stock the same day Microsoft did the deal?" Kind of off topic, kind of on topic. Yeah, no, it's a lot of people, you know, that hit. And like the crazy thing is like I don't want to get into politics or that kind of thing. But it's so interesting that like a senator managed to do that, like sell it. Like if I'm not sure if they managed to sell it before or if they were just selling it, you know, like as they were seeing it was like dropping and that kind of thing. Because like the crazy thing is this like hit the industry by storm. Like you didn't have, you know, like a Jeff Grubb or any of those type of individuals who typically report on like leaks and rumors and that kind of stuff. Nobody was talking about this. Like nobody had an idea that this was happening. At least in the games side of things. So, you know, like I said, not trying to be political or anything, so it's interesting to see that a senator would be able to get that kind of information. And it's just one of those that it's like, oh man, can you imagine what like somebody in games journalism would have given to find out that information? And so along those lines, you know, you had Sony coming out with you have Sony who, you know, they said that, you know, we expect Microsoft will abide by contractual agreements and continue to ensure Activision games are multi-platform. And, you know, it's something that a lot of people have been talking about, how it was that same way with Bethesda Studios, where we see Deathloop was a PlayStation exclusive that they had from before Microsoft went in and bought them. And, you know, along those lines, there's also Ghostwire Tokyo, which is still in production, that is going to be Sony exclusive because of contractual agreements. And so I fully agree, you know, like Phil Spencer has said that they don't have any plans to, you know, drop any contractual agreements or that kind of thing. They're going to, you know, basically stay and abide by that stuff. Which, you know, makes sense, because if they don't, that's them having to pay to get out of those contracts, that kind of thing. It also opens them up for like huge lawsuits. And so in response to that, the one, the only Phil Spencer himself tweeted out and I quote, "Had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry and we value our relationship." And so it's one of those that you can look at that statement in multiple ways. So you can look at that statement and say, oh, games that are on there are going to stay on there. Like, for example, Warzone. It is a multi-platform game that is available. It's a live service game, and so it's going to stay on PlayStation. They're not going to suddenly rip it off of PlayStation. However, let's say that Sony didn't have a deal with Call of Duty already for the next Call of Duty, or that kind of thing. There is no guarantee, based on that wording, that Call of Duty stays on Sony. That wording is lawyer talk for games that are there are going to stay there, especially live service games and that kind of thing. I'm gonna take a quick sip real quick. And so, you know, along those lines, some other stuff that we have is, you know, you look at like Fallout 76, for example. It's a multi-platform game that is Bethesda, and as soon as they bought it, it has stayed on Sony. And, you know, that's because it's a live service game. It's going to keep being upgraded as people are going to keep playing it, and that kind of thing. And so it's going to stay there. They're not going to be ripping old games, you know, like, oh, you can't play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 anymore because they pulled it. That's not going to happen. The games that are there are going to stay there. And now, granted, the thing is that could they, theoretically, keep Call of Duty on PlayStation? And the quick and easy answer is yes. Look, for example, at Minecraft. Minecraft you can still play on PlayStation. But they hit you with that, why would you want to play it on PlayStation? Because, hey, you could play it on PlayStation, or you can play it for free on gamespass. And so it's one of those that it's like, you know, they're pushing the needle. And I've also seen other people say that what this means right here, I'm going to read his tweet again, because I think that the more you read it, the more possibilities come. And that's possibly just because it's lawyer talk, you know? He doesn't own... Phil Spencer, CEO of Microsoft Gaming, head of Xbox, does not own Activision Blizzard right now. He is not in charge of it, and so he has to be very, very careful what he says right now. And so every single word that he says is planned through lawyers because he cannot fuck this up. And so we're going to read it again. Had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry and we value our relationship. Now the part that I want to highlight is the part that I paused after. Our desire to keep I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. So he has told them that they intend and want to keep, they desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Here's the thing, that doesn't mean that it's going to keep being there, is what that part means. And to me, that means that they are wanting to play hardball. They're going to sit here and be like, hey, we want to put Call of Duty on PlayStation. But here's the thing, is PlayStation's got to give us something for it. And I've seen a lot of people talking about Xbox being like, yeah, you guys can have Call of Duty. You guys can have every single Call of Duty on PlayStation. But you can't sell it. It's going to be through Xbox Games Pass. If people want to play Call of Duty on PlayStation, they will have to hop into their Games Pass app and install it from there. And I've seen, and yeah, so I see chat saying, you know, give us God of War and The Last of Us. A lot of people, you know, have said that they're like, at the very least, if not on, you know, Xbox proper, I've seen a lot of people say, let's get the exclusives on, you know, at least, you know, PC. Like, make them available on Xbox PC. That way it's not directly contributing to, you know, like, the Xbox, but we'll see. Basically, that, our desire is to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Like, there's no guarantees. They want to, but if Sony's not going to play ball with them, they're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. And, you know, it's just, you know, simple, hey, what do you have to offer us? Because right now, Microsoft has gone and they've slapped their wallet on the table and, you know, have basically commanded respect of the video game industry. And so now, you know, anybody who wants to play with the money needs to bring something. And I think that we're in for a very interesting time, and I'm so curious to see what the deal is between these companies, or if, you know, Sony tries to, you know, basically not give in, and, you know, just ends up not getting anything. Because I could very well see Sony being stubborn and just ending up with nothing because they wouldn't play. And so I think it's going to be just something absolutely crazy to see. Because, you know, along the lines of chat, let's do a fun exercise. YouTube comments, I want you guys to do it too. Tell me a single PlayStation shooter right now, just a single PlayStation shooter, multiplayer. And I'm gonna sit here and wait, because here's the thing, is there isn't a single PlayStation shooter that's multiplayer. Like, PlayStation has relied on their third-party shooters to keep up. Like, they don't have one. Sony puts out single-player, story-based stuff. And so if they're going to have a first-person shooter, they're either A, going to have to start making it, or B, they're going to have to play ball. Because let's be honest, what are the other options? The three biggest shooters of this year: Call of Duty, Halo, Battlefield. Are you really telling me you're going to leave Sony, you know, players who have been used to, you know, having Call of Duty, having everything weeks ahead? You're telling me that you're going to leave them with just Battlefield, which, like, you know, they don't, like, Battlefield 2042. I know that we have somebody in the chat who absolutely loves it, and I'm not trying to shit on it. I'm just saying that, you know, if you look over at the Xbox side and you go, hey, I'm gonna hop on with the boys tonight, you know, and, you know, when I say hop on with the boys tonight, I mean BOIS, you know, like, we're hopping on with the squad, whoever wants to play, and you sit there and you go, guys, what am I feeling tonight? Am I feeling Call of Duty? Nah, let's not do that tonight. You want to do some Halo? I don't know. What about Battlefield? You know, you sit there, you have options. Whereas, like, you hop over to PlayStation, it's like, hey, you guys want to play Battlefield tonight? Which, you know, Battlefield has been getting rumored lately that it is doing so poorly that it's going to be going free to play. And so, you know, it's one of those that it's like, Like, you just took the biggest multiplayer shooter off the platform for them, and you can't do anything else. Like, they don't have anywhere else to go. And a lot of people have been talking about, okay, what about, Last of Us Factions was supposed to release with Last of Us 2. The multiplayer, like, it had a cult following, a lot of people were really fond of it, that kind of thing. But it's a third person, like, kind of like multiplayer experience, it was kind of like a tacked on thing for the first one. And they, like, straight up, they kept, like, delaying, and eventually they're like, we'll release it as a separate thing, like, later on. And, it's one of those that, you kind of sit there and wonder, it's like, is that going to be enough of a multiplayer experience to catch people? And also, does it actually fit in the same genre as, a Call of Duty, or a Halo, or a Battlefield, Because, when you sit there and you throw, third-person shooter, that kind of thing, like, I hop to, like, Fortnite, or that kind of thing. And so it's like, that doesn't even fit in that category, It's almost kind of its own thing of, back in the, like, 360 PS3 days of, game comes out and then they tack on a multiplayer element to it, It's not something that feels like it belongs. And so I'm really curious to see if that can compete and have enough of a, like, effect on the fact that, like, there's could possibly not be a Call of Duty on PlayStation anymore. And so it's just like, it's a lot of fun to think about, it's a lot of interesting stuff happening just in the... Oh, guys, I almost was not paying attention. He almost fucking lost right there. We almost lost our only other Pokemon. Alright. Come on, you got this. You got this. Going into focus mode. And so, talking about some, like, other, like, slightly, like, connected news, and these ones, unfortunately, I don't have, the articles in front of me, and so they might be slightly less factual. They might also, I'm not going to be able to, give credit to who I read these from and that kind of thing. But along those lines, you have the fact that... Oh, well, what was the exact train of thought I was thinking of? I'm trying to think. Oh, it was the fact that it's being talked about that Call of Duty is going to be, Phil Spencer has talked about, if given the chance, dropping Call of Duty from a yearly release to either in every other year, or, basically, it almost sounded like they were going to give it kind of like the assassin, or what was it? I can't remember what game I was hearing does this, where it's like you have two studios working, and they basically get 3 years that they're developing a game, and so it's like release, year off, release. And so I think it would be interesting because, right now, Activision is purely a Call of Duty machine, Like, they have all of their studios pretty much work on Call of Duty, Like, even if they're not one of the main, like, Call of Duty studios, like, the support ones are support studios where they just help them. My wife's making fun of me because I'm learning how to multitask, because I'm one of those people who, like, is terrible at multitasking. Like, I'll be telling my wife about my day while we're, like, in the shower, and I'll, like, literally have to stop washing my hair to be able to talk to her, because I'm just, like, so bad at focusing. Like, when I tell a story, like I'm committed, you know, like I am a storyteller. I am, you know, a craftsman who spins his tall tales. And you know, that shit takes focus. So, something else that I want to talk about because of, you know, now we're at the fun part where it's like, okay, less so news stories. Now it's that fun speculation time. Is I want to discuss the fact that Microsoft, because of this acquisition, now has a chance to become the family system. Like right now, if you ask somebody, oh, you know, like what game and what console should I get my kid? And most of the time they will tell you Nintendo Switch because that's where the kids' games are. And yes, it's exactly so. Chat is talking about Phil Spencer said that one of his desires, you know, would be he would love to bring Guitar Hero back. And I think that that would be a really cool one. However, I've seen a lot of the issues with Guitar Hero is, I guess, towards the end, it got incredibly hard to license stuff. And now, granted, that could be because the CEO of Activision was kind of, you know, a giant piece of shit and, you know, didn't like to make any games that he couldn't release yearly and, like, milk the money out of. So, you know, now that you got Microsoft at the helm, who knows? Maybe we could end up in a world where, you know, we actually get to see, you know, Guitar Hero come back and actually get some pretty awesome songs on it. I think that'd be really cool. Also, just to throw it out there, so I'm not 100% sure, but I'll double check. I'm pretty sure Activision doesn't have the rights to Rockstar or Rock Band. So that's the game you guys are talking about where you have the drummer. Guitar Hero is the one that's just guitar. It's the one that predated Rock Band. Yeah. So, yeah, the CEO of Activision being the one who said he wants to bring it back. Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision, has been for like 3 decades, is an absolute piece of shit. He is like 90% of the he's like 90% of the issues and that kind of stuff that has come out about Activision Blizzard's like workplace culture and that kind of stuff. Is a lot of it is this guy's just an asshole. And you know, the stuff that he's not even, you know, just being like a dick about in regards to, you know, workplace culture and that kind of thing is the fact that he basically turned Activision into a Call of Duty you know, just machine where so he like literally has a quote back from 2008 when he was talking about disbanding a lot of their like, you know, studios that did like the smaller like story-based or like fun, you know, creative games. He literally has a quote. I'm gonna see if I can find it because the quote is absolutely insane. See if I can find this. You know, actually, I can probably find it easier if I hop over to... I originally saw it on Twitter. Alright, let's see how much this person's been tweeting. And like, I really need to find the quote because like the quote is really important when it comes to just like getting the proper context of it. Oh man, I don't want to be sitting here for a giant amount of time, like trying to find it, but it was such a good quote. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, so I found it. So, this was back in 2008. Activision Blizzard boss, CEO, Bobby Kotick, has explained that various Sierra games were dumped for not exhibiting, and I quote, potential to be exploited every year across every platform. Like, that's the person who's been in charge of Activision, and it really puts into context why Activision has been the way it is, where we get super stagnant Call of Duty games that are just, you know, rinse and repeat the same exact thing all the time with the tiniest of changes that don't feel good. And so it's super exciting in the context of like I was talking about with it being, you know, a family console now, is with them getting Activision, they have Spyro now. Like, they can bring back Spyro. They can bring back Crash Bandicoot. They have, what were the three? It was Spyro, it was Crash Bandicoot, and what was the fucking third one? I can't remember. Do you know what? I might pull it over to where we just like sit there and look at Xbox Game Studios, because at this point, it is absolutely insane. But they basically have the potential to bring back like a lot of those like, you know, childhood games. And it's just it's absolutely, it's crazy. Like they have so many studios now, and they have so many properties, which is the more exciting part, is because it's like, yes, you know, obviously it's exciting getting people that put out Call of Duty. That's awesome. But on the other hand, I think it's cooler the studios that you're going to get, because, you know, at one point, Activision actually put out like really fucking cool games. Like the Tony Hawk games, for example. You know, like that, no matter who you were as a kid at one point in time, you played a Tony Hawk game. And so it's just one of those that it's like, the fact that it's a possibility that we can start getting more stuff like that, and not just like oh, we're remastering old games, like actually getting, you know, new games in these series that have basically been dead and buried, is just an absolutely insane idea. Once we get to this next city, I'm going to, you know, basically, having done almost nothing except for grinding and leveling up, I'll probably save it and swap us over to looking at Google, and I'm going to, you know, basically run through what properties Microsoft basically has access to now, and we can kind of discuss in the chat how excited we are about them. Because, like, they have some absolutely insane stuff coming up. And because like we're hitting the point where a lot of, you know, Xbox studios are finally starting to like put games forward, and it's an incredibly exciting thing to see, you know, like the fruits of all of these years. Because like basically if you look at the Xbox One generation, apart from Gears of War 5, there's not really an Xbox, you know, one title that was Xbox exclusive that you're like, this is what Xbox gaming is. Because, like, they just ended up punting a lot of stuff down the pipeline, a lot of stuff got canceled, and, you know, it just ended up being one of those situations where, you know, they focused on quality and they wanted to get stuff right, and so we didn't really get anything great during the Xbox One generation. Like, chat, let me know if I'm wrong, but like, Xbox exclusivity during the Xbox One generation wasn't insane. Like, it was kind of, you know, this super teeny tiny thing. And now the fact that it's starting to fill up and it's looking more along the lines of, you know, we're getting these games and they're coming first day to Games Pass. Like, it's absolutely crazy. Alright, so I'm going to, if I hop over here, I pull this up, I drop this. There we go. Then I'm going to block Chrome for a sec. And you know what, actually, I don't think I can mess with them while I'm actually in it. Alright, so we're going to go like this. We're going to go that. Activision properties. Now let's go Activision Blizzard properties. Alright. Guys, this is insane. So, here, you know, real quick, I'm gonna mess with some stuff quietly on my end real quick, and so I'm gonna turn off the face cam. I'm still here, guys. You can still hear me. I'm just gonna mess with something real quick. That way, I can more properly show you guys what exactly we're looking at. Let me know if you guys can't hear me, if things are kind of weird. I'm hoping that everything is all good. Alright. What up? I'm back over here. So, let's see if I got this correct. Okay, so we go like this, we go like that. Oh, it doesn't want to properly sit. Also, there. Okay, now we're looking better. We're looking pretty. Drop this to, like, you know, let's throw me over here now, guys. Alright, so I want you guys to look at this with me. How absolutely insane we have, oh, it's kind of cropped funky. I want to see if I can fix that just a little bit. Okay, so that looks a little bit better. I just wanted to zoom it in some. Alright, so they have, yeah, wrong one. Here, we're going to throw me a little bit further down. So they have Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, Guitar Hero, Tony Hawk, Spyro, Skylanders, World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, and Candy Crush. And those are just like the super big ones. Like, that's not even sitting here hopping to like some of the like smaller ones. Like, that is absolutely insane. Just that tiny list right there. Like, it absolutely is so crazy to, like, sit here and think that, like, they have that much to play with now. Like, not only do they get to sit here and, you know, like, mess around with, like, all their new stuff that they're coming up with, but they also get to play with the fact that, hey, we have all these new properties that have basically been dormant because, you know, they haven't been getting messed with because Activision is, you know, kind of refusing to. And now they get to sit there and, you know, play with all of these new toys. Like, it's got to be Christmas for the people over at you know, Xbox, getting to, you know, think of all the fun games that they get to make now. Like, because they have so many studios. Like, I want to pull up Microsoft Gaming Studios. Yeah, Microsoft Game Studios. Add the Activision. I think this is the one I'm looking at. Yeah. Alright, so let's open on a new tab, hop over here. Alright, so we're going to come down to Sunday recap. And yeah, so this is what we're looking at. I'm going to throw myself over on this side now. So yeah, this is what we're looking at. We have Xbox now gets to play around with Treyarch, Raven, High Moon, Beanox, Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, Demonware, Toys for Bob, 343, World's Edge, the Coalition, Compulsion Games. Can I zoom in on this any? No? Okay. Can't see what that one is. Xbox Game Studios Publishing, The Initiative, In Exile, Mojang, Ninja Theory, Obsidian, Playground Games, Rare. Can't see what that 10 one says. I wish I could zoom on this. Not letting me. Let's see if I can see it more on this one. Oh, Double Fine. How did I forget about Double Fine? The Initiative, In Exile, Mojang, Playground Games, Rare, Turn 10, Undead Labs, Bethesda Game Studios, ZeniMax Online, ID, Arcane, Machine Games, Tango Gameworks, AlphaDog, Roundhouse. Like, that's just an insane list. Like, they have so much that they get to play with right now. And, you know, the future is looking absolutely beautiful if you're an Xbox fan. And, you know, with looking at that, that's where we're going to end it. Like, I don't see another, you know, spot. We've taken a long time to talk about a lot of fun. You know, we had a lot of stuff, you know, that popped up within the week. But, yeah, honestly, it leads to a lot of speculation, a lot of that fun stuff. And so on top of that, I currently don't have a ton of experience with, like, video editing and that kind of thing. But I've decided to undertake a project where I want to do almost like a YouTube, like, documentary. Not going to be a series. I'm honestly not sure how long the video is going to be, but I'm going to do a deep dive in how Microsoft managed to buy Activision Blizzard. Because this is the biggest news to ever happen in the video game industry. Quite possibly the biggest entertainment news that has ever happened. Like, the video game industry is a larger industry than movies. It is a larger industry than books. You know, like, the video game industry makes more money than anything else. And this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing that has happened. And I want to do a series basically explaining how we got to this point. Because there's been a lot of drama and a lot of stuff that led to Microsoft being able to buy Activision Blizzard. And so I'm going to do a really big deep dive kind of explaining how it managed to happen. And I'm going to try and put a lot of work into it. I really want to, you know, make it a quality project. I want to, you know, it's going to be my first time, like, really diving into something like that. So I'm going to, you know, really try it out. And I don't know how long it's going to take, but, you know, this story isn't going anywhere, because for the next year we're going to be speculating about what does Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard mean. Because, you know, like, we did that when it was, I say just Bethesda, but when it was just Bethesda. Like, we thought that was such a big purchase, and then we got this like a year later, and it's just like absolutely crazy. And so I want to do a deep dive kind of explaining how this happened, because it came out of nowhere, but knowing that it has happened, you can look back at a lot of stuff and point to like, that was leaning towards Xbox buying Activision. Like this was on the path. And I don't think a lot of people know the story of how it happened. And so I'm going to do a deep dive and kind of explain the circumstances that led to, Xbox being able to buy Activision. And if that's something that interests you, that video is purely going to be on YouTube. So I encourage you, I ask you, go to YouTube, find the GlintingRuffian YouTube channel, subscribe. We got a lot of Mass Effect videos and that kind of thing, but this is going to be like a real like video essay kind of project. And I hope that it brings a lot of people over, because I like talking about the news. I like discussing the nuances of how this happened, and I'm excited to do that. So I hope you guys also enjoy and that kind of thing. Thank you everybody who's been watching over at twitch.tv/GlintingRuffian, where we do these live streams that then later go up on YouTube. If you want, notes and news on, like how progress and that kind of stuff is going, that's going to be, over on Twitter at GlintingRuffian. My wife has been taking over the TikTok channel, making highlights and that kind of stuff, and that's over at GlintingRuffian also. Basically, you can find me at GlintingRuffian on any of the social medias, that kind of thing. I appreciate, if you like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell a coworker, all the good stuff. But yeah, so that's where we're going to be stopping this recording. So I'll see you guys next time, and goodbye, YouTube.